Hello and welcome to the Genuine Learning Blog. My name is Melissa Galasso, and today we're going to cover a proposed change to the data collection form. So if you are performing single audits, or if you are a non-federal entity that is subject to the single audit requirements, this can have an impact on you. So this is proposed. However, it's not going to be effective for the upcoming year. So we do have a little bit of time, but we want to think about whether or not we want to provide feedback to the federal government regarding the data collection that they're looking for. So let's take a look. So the FAC, the Federal Audit Clearinghouse, has made these proposed revisions and they have put them into the Federal Register. So now they are official. And again, not going to have an impact on your 2018 single audit. This would be for fiscal years that have ending dates in 2019, 20, and 21. And so a little bit down the road, but again, this is something that can have an impact, especially when we see some of the things that they're going to be requesting new information in this form. So the title of the proposed revision is Proposed Information Collection Comment Request Data Collection Form Reporting on Audits of States, Local Governments, Indian Tribes, Institutions of Higher Education, and Nonprofit Organizations. Wow, I think they could have gone with non-federal entities subject to the uniform guidance, but that's just me in terms of the title of it. So again, a little bit of a delayed effective date, but something that we should be thinking about now because the comment period is open. So let's look at the main changes. And so I separated them between the auditor and the auditee. And so in this one, the audit finding information currently required to be included in the form by auditors would be expanded to include the actual text of the audit finding. So if you have an audit finding, you would now have to actually include in the data collection form the actual text. And so obviously we have different things that we upload as attachments, but this would be in the actual form itself. In addition, it's going to require that we indicate whether there was a communication to the auditee in a written document relating to any issues that were not an audit finding but warranted the attention of those charged with governance. I have a feeling they're looking at things like communications because there's that proposal out there right now from the AICPA, but other things that we might want to be talking to those charged with governance about, not necessarily that meet the definition of a finding, but that were in a written communication. And so any issues that were not an audit finding but warranted the attention of those charged with management or those charged with governance. And so again, this is going to be just expanding the amount of information that would be publicly available, because remember, the data collection form is searchable, right? You go to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse and you can look for this information. And so this is something that we want to keep in the back of our mind as we think about these proposed changes. In addition, for the auditees, they would be required to include the text of their corrective action plan. So remember, the corrective action plan is separate from the auditor's findings. It is the who, what, and when, who is going to make the change, what change are they going to make, and when are they going to do it by. And so this provides that level of detail, which would now obviously be the entire text of the corrective action plan into the data collection form, and then required to include the text of the notes to the CFA. So again, the CFA has required notes. That text would now be required in the data collection form. And some of the things that are in there are whether or not you use that 10% de minimis rate, what basis of accounting are you using. So those type of things would now be in the data collection form itself. Other things that the information, and so the GAQC actually put out a really nice Government Audit Quality Center. Huge fan of the GAQC. I highly recommend that if you are an auditor that you become a member, because they provide great information and great summaries. And so this is some of the information they have provided. And I thought this was pretty interesting. And so it says that the FAC will allow non-federal entities, so your governments, state and local governments, your not-for-profit entities, institution of higher education, and Indian tribes, who did not meet the threshold requiring the submission of a single audit, so they didn't hit that 750 threshold, to report voluntarily to notify the fact that they did not meet the threshold, meaning we didn't forget to submit a single audit. We didn't need to submit a single audit because we were below the threshold, and that would be posted to the FAC website. So anytime you provide this voluntary information, it's not required, it would still be subject to posting on the FAC website. And then I thought it was kind of interesting in terms of their expectations. So they actually included an estimate of the number of hours it would take a non-federal entity and their auditor to complete the form. And so the estimate was 70 hours for each of the 400 largest, and then for everyone else, they estimated 21 hours. So clearly here, this is a big chunk of change when you're getting to the end of the audit and you need to submit the final outcome, right? And so one of the things about a single audit that's a little misleading, it sounds simple, right? Single audit. But when in reality, you have your financial statement audit, you have the opinion on the CFA, you have your major program information, you have your yellow book opinion, which includes internal controls over financial reporting and compliance related to the financial statements. Then you have your compliance with the uniform guidance and all your major programs and the direct material compliance requirements. And then you have your schedule of findings and question costs, right? All of these things that make up our reporting package and the data collection form, which makes most of this stuff public information. And so again, this is something that we want to pay attention to when we propose changes, because this is going to be very much available to the general public. So if I've piqued your interest, comments are due to the FAQ by June 4th of 2018. I believe that is a Monday. So if you have an interest in this, we encourage you to participate in the due process and let them know what your thoughts are about some of the proposed changes. With that, we have made it to the end of this blog. I hope that you found it helpful, and I hope to see you on a future blog. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.